Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the newest episode of Crunch Time with Krunch. We're starting off with our guest already at the table. Logan Freeman is an Avila football player. He is a wide receiver for the Eagles, and we're glad to have you at the table. How you doing today, Logan?
I'm good, Krunch. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Hosting a podcast with my co-host, Max Williams.
Absolutely. Can't wait to have you, Logan. See what we do.
So we're starting off. We're talking about the game that happened last night, the NFL's opening game, and man, it honestly was a good one. The Cowboys versus the Buccaneers. Just break it down for us. How do you feel like that game went?
Absolute great game, especially by both quarterbacks. Both teams didn't run as much as I thought they would, but as far as the balance, it was very good. The running backs, you got to see the running backs receive the ball, which was pretty neat on both sides. The Cowboys defense did step up, but I feel like they, may have got bailed out by a few things. But at the end of the day, it was a great opening game. Thursday night, everybody's watching. It was a perfect opening game for this season.
So, Logan, I'm just going to talk a little bit briefly about the Cowboys defense, right? You mentioned that it was kind of like, it was a little bit iffy, right? They had a little bit of good performance, not good performance. I mean, I think when I look at the Cowboys, I think of that first pick, Micah Parsons, and how he played overall, how he was, and how he could really change the game. Talk to me a little bit about what do you think Micah Parsons' role was in the game?
So I feel like his role was to float in the middle, make it as hard as possible for Tom Brady. I'm not going to say he completely succeeded at doing that because there was times in the game where Tom would pick on him on purpose a little bit. But as far as the run goes, he did help in the run a lot. I've seen 11 step up in the run, but there were times when the Buccaneers went heavy and it was just nothing that the Dallas Cowboys could do. It wasn't often, but when they wanted to run the ball up the middle, the Buccaneers were able to do it.
Right.
And, looking at the box score, Dallas had 0 sacks on Tom Brady last night. And, as an O-lineman myself, I thought that was outstanding because, going into the game, Zach Martin was out due to injury. But still going into it, you'd think Dallas Cowboys would have the better, offensive line. But they gave up more sacks than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did. Do you think that the Buccaneers – big five up front, they're underrated?
I feel like their big five isn't underrated. They just have Tom Brady at quarterback. And so I can tell that during the game, he's operating everything. He's calling out blitzes, especially late in the game. He's calling out blitzes. He's helping those guys out. Tom Brady's the type of guy that no matter what position you play, he's going to make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to do. And if you're an O-lineman, I think that he protects them just as much as they protect him.
So, talking at least about the Buccaneers, I thought I had a great game last night with Antonio Brown. He had 5 or 6 receptions, right? Yeah. Over 120 yards.
Absolutely.
And then also Amari Cooper, too, for Dak Prescott. I mean, we talked about the running games weren't great for both offenses, right? But the 2 receivers I thought that stood out, Amari Cooper and Antonio Brown. Being a wide receiver yourself, man, just talk to me about how you thought those 2 did.
So, I'm going to start with Amari Cooper first. Amari Cooper was a good option for the Cowboys. He was their number 1 receiver last night. Dak could go to him. Dak could depend on him. There were times where Dak would throw the ball in a spot, and we'd be like, where is he throwing it? Towards the sideline. Amari Cooper was there for the catch. And you could tell that their chemistry is a little better than Dak Prescott's and CeeDee Lamb's because there was time where Dak Prescott would throw to a spot and CeeDee Lamb wouldn't be there. But when he threw it to Amari Cooper, majority of the time Amari Cooper was there. You could tell that their chemistry was a little better. As far as Antonio Brown goes, he was very good. He dropped 1 third down pass in the first quarter that I was like, oh, come on, AB. But then literally, I believe it was the next drive or a couple drives later where he just caught the bomb, fake slant, goes in the end zone. Absolutely beautiful pass by Tom Brady. Antonio Brown was reliable as always and just was a great factor.
I mean, I say that because just hearing Antonio Brown, right? We've heard all of the struggles he's had in the past. He's been with a lot of teams, right?
Yes.
Steelers, he was with the Patriots. I mean, he was down there, Patriots, and now he's with now the Buccaneers. So he's been around the block a lot. And I hope he can keep it up, right? We all hope, because he's a talented receiver. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
We all know he's talented. He can make plays. I think it's important for him to off-field issues, clear that up, and hopefully he can be, a better person overall. So
yeah, and so I'll say this about Antonio Brown. As far as on the field, he's always going to perform. The guy's routes are too good to not perform. He gets in the Super Bowl last year, barely plays, and I'm pretty sure that they call a play for him, route him up, touchdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's always going to be a guy on the field. But like you said, that off-field things, that may be something that he needs to continue to work on.
Like you just said, I think the Super Bowl was a big thing that got his name back out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he kind of like, people were like, what's with Antonio Brown? How are people going to be with him? I mean, the thing about him is that his speed, right? We always talk about Tyreek Hill. We talk about all speedy receivers.
Mm-hmm.
What Antonio Brown, which I think makes him special, is he has a great first 2 steps.
Mm-hmm.
And as a receiver, you should know this, right? The first
Yeah.
2 or 3 steps are the most important coming off the line.
Absolutely.
So I think that's going to be very important just to see how he does overall for the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then last night, as you said, was a pass-heavy game. You know, Tom Brady sat out the majority of training camp. You know, sat out the majority of preseason games because it's Tom Brady. The guy's proven. He's quite possibly the best quarterback of all time. And, you know, Bruce Arians was under a lot of heat about that. Like, hey, you're not going to practice him. You're not going to do this. And he basically said, you know, time will tell. We'll see how it happens. Opening night, 4 touchdowns. You know, just shy of 400 yards passing.
Yeah.
Do you think Bruce Arians knew that was going to happen?
I'm not going to say he knew it was going to happen, but I'm going to say that he knew that his franchise quarterback would perform and ultimately win the game. Time has been telling for Tom Brady a long time. So with that being said, like, he just had the confidence in his quarterback because Tom Brady has time after time just showed up and performs and just takes over. And so I think that you're absolutely right. You know, I think that the coach knew that exactly what Tom would do and how Tom would perform. He probably didn't know that he'd be shy of 400. He probably thought he'd get more, maybe a little less, but at the end of the day, he schemed the game up perfectly for Tom to succeed, and Tom made sure that when they were on the field, everything was going well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for being on the
Yes,
show. We
thank you,
loved
man.
having you.
Appreciate
We'd like
you.
to have you back sometime.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you
I
guys
appreciate
so much.
you, man, for sure.
And we're back this time with another guest. Keaton Ashby from last week is once again back on. You know, 2 weeks in a row, Keaton. Something kind of special going on here, huh? You and Dash got something going on under the table?
I don't know, do we?
I don't think we do.
All right. Moving forward, we just talked about the Cowboys-Buccaneers game. The NFL predictions. I picked some of the biggest games that I was thinking about. What games did you pick out, Max?
I mean, looking at it for the week, I mean, I'm looking at the Steelers versus Bills. I think that's going to be a big game. First, to just see how the Steelers are, right? We got to see how Ben Roethlisberger is, how Najee Harris will be for this offense. But I'm really looking at the Bills. I think if you're looking at a team, the AFC Crook, I think the Bills are a team. I always thought when they competed with the Chiefs, Titans, right? They're a team that can probably create havoc for any team out there. And one player I want to highlight real quickly is Ed Oliver coming out of Houston University. I really like this kid. This guy he can make a lot of plays. He was a Pro Bowler last year. And Kruk, here's the thing, is you know this D-line, they are important for any team to get wrecked. To wreck havoc, make plays. So that was one of the games I picked out. But obviously, another big game this week, the Browns versus the Chiefs. That's another big game coming up. We got to see how Baker Mayfield is, right? We got to see how everyone just is so criticized of Baker Mayfield. We don't know if he's there all the time or not. And obviously, the defense, too. Sometimes I thought last year Cleveland let up a couple big plays, see how they were, but the Chiefs, they were this close. They were close, right? They just had to get.
They were close. That was one of the games I picked out, Kansas City versus Cleveland. What I'm going to start with is the Seahawks versus the Colts. That game, I was looking at it, and I'm like, you know, neither of these two teams are really blockbuster teams. They're not going to set the world on fire. But this matchup is going to be good. ESPN's matchup prediction little tool said that it is a 53% chance that the Colts win, which is one of the slimmest margins of victory predicted for week 1. They have a 3-point it is a 3-point favorite for the Colts, but I really think the Seahawks are going to do it. You know, the Seahawks over the offseason, you know, they were all worried about Russell Wilson wanting to leave after apparently he said he wanted to leave.
Possible to
And then went back and said, hey, I
Yeah.
don't want to leave anymore. And, you know, speaking of quarterbacks, looking at the Colts have had 2 long-term quarterbacks in Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. And now they're going on back-to-back seasons with new quarterbacks. Last season with Phillips. This season, they're starting Carson Wentz. So, I mean, honestly, it's gonna be a QB game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts try to run the ball more than the Seahawks end up doing. Seahawks are going to try to get DK Metcalf in it early and often. What about you, Keaton? What game are you looking at?
I am going to pick between the Seahawks and Indianapolis. I'm going to go with the underdogs, the Colts. I want to see some upsets.
Explain why. What do you think the Colts?
Why the Colts?
Yeah, why the Colts?
Well, considering I'm from Michigan, I have a huge passion for the Midwest teams, Midwest sports.
Same here, buddy.
We
I
both
agree.
know
We
that.
both know that, both from the Midwest.
I'm not the biggest fan of Russell Wilson. So, and I know the Colts are a little shaky.
Yes.
Not a big fan of Carson Wentz either, but I would like to see an upset.
Hey, man, you never know with the NFL, right? Any teams can make plays any time of the day. It's just with the Colts, we got to see if the Colts they always feel like they're there, but they're not there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I say that because they have players. They got a lot of players. They make a lot of plays. But sometimes I just wonder if that's overall what it is. Because their defense, they got Darius Leonard, right, which I think is one of the best linebackers out there in the league. But after that, I look at their defense and secondary. It shakes me, Kruk. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's not deceptible. But another game I want to talk about really quickly is the Cardinals versus the Titans. And I actually picked this game too because I want to now see how J.J. Watt plays with the new team. And I still think J.J. Watt is one of the best defensive linemen out there in the NFL. He still makes a lot of plays, and he helps the team out. I mean, here's the thing: the Texans they were running low last year. They were running low because they didn't have all their pieces together. And I think J.J. Watt was frustrated with the organization, frustrated with everything going on, but he knew in his heart he had to carry the team. He had to carry the team because if they didn't, they're going to fall apart because the season was not going well. So I'm just intrigued how he's going to be with the Cardinals. And then the Titans, just how, especially getting Julio Jones, how he's going to be for that organization. Because that man, I think he needs a new break, right? Just when I talk about Matt Stafford going to the Lions for the Rams, this could be maybe a new season and a break for Julio Jones. Even though he's old, he's getting there up in age. Maybe he has a new gear being on a new team.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's one of the games I picked out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Titans versus Cardinals. That game is a 64%. 64% favor the Titans to win it week 1.
Yeah.
And, it's once again a 3-point favorite, so it's supposed to be a close game. But looking at the Cardinals lineup, if you're looking at teams just based on the names of the players, they have one of the best teams. They have some of the biggest names in the NFL right now on their team. With DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Kyler Murray, J.J. Watt, and they got a ton of other people on the defense that's just slipping my mind right now. But those guys all going against
Buda Baker.
Yeah,
Defense,
exactly.
yep.
All those guys basically going against Derrick Henry, and then about 3 good wide receivers for the Titans. So, I mean, if their names can translate into actual production and actually be good, I think it could be really good. Otherwise, I feel like there's going to be too many players on the Cardinals trying to be the hero, trying to be the big guy, and not being able just to, not to use basketball terms, but simply be a role player.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it, right? They have a lot of weapons, but I think Kyler Murray has to step up overall and to make that happen. Here's the thing. You can have a lot of weapons in football, right? You can have a lot of people out there, but if the quarterback's not going to help you out, like we saw with Tom Brady being out there for the Buccaneers and all those weapons, same thing with Kyler. He's got to be the same thing. He's got all these names, all these people, but sometimes I'm still worried. Is Kyler Murray totally the guy there? He's sometimes worried because sometimes he has to run out of the pocket, make plays. And how is he going to be overall? But I think for me, Kruk, he needs to be the leader of that team. Because DeAndre Hopkins is going to be good. He's one of the top receivers in the league. They got Larry Fitzgerald. We know his production. Another guy, too, that probably you didn't mention, but Andy Isabella. He's a quick speedster guy. He's a white guy. Can't believe this. This guy came out of Massachusetts University. Think about that, everybody. Massachusetts. That's a small university, right? You got to give the small universities some love. So that's another guy, too, that's going to help this team out. So definitely that's a game I'm totally watching for. You got anything else?
So one of the main games this weekend, we touched on it, but we really didn't go in depth, the Kansas City versus Cleveland game. One of us at this table is actually going to the game.
Oh.
And, I was going to let him talk a little bit about it.
Oh. Go ahead.
I'm not going to the game. I'm working the game.
Oh, you're working the game. Huh?
Yeah. Catch me on the sidelines.
Are you the one with the yard marker or one of the first down chain games?
I wish. I'm in the cart telling tailgaters to do and what not to do.
Sweet. So who do you think's winning that game?
The Cleveland Browns.
That's a hot
Wow.
take.
That's Wow.
Explain.
Yeah.
It's the upset factor for me. I have been in Kansas City for almost a year now, and I love the city to death, but I'm tired of hearing the Chiefs everywhere. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm a Lions fan. We don't get any recognition whatsoever, but hearing the Chiefs all the time absolutely annoys me.
So you don't like it when they say the Chiefs are good. So I'm guessing
Well-
you're also a Royals fan because they never talk about the Royals.
You got me there. Now, let me be honest here. Baker Mayfield, okay?
Yeah.
Let's think about this. Baker Mayfield somehow going all out against the Chiefs. Chiefs defense, not particularly good, we should say. So
To an extent, yeah.
To an extent. So if Baker Mayfield comes out, shows off, there is a slight chance for upset, even though the Chiefs are probably still going to win. But I'd like to see the Browns somehow make it.
I mean, I like that you're full of upsets, right? You picked the Colts over the Seahawks, right? And you picked now apparently the Browns over the Chiefs. Even though apparently you're going to work at the game, that'll be a fun time for
That's
you.
gonna suck.
But anyways, though, I think being in Kansas City, right, and the Chiefs in this one. Now, if it was in Cleveland, it could be a different story. You know what I mean? Because it's home field advantage and whatever. But I think the Chiefs are going to find a way to win. Especially, I think the Chiefs got something more to prove this year, more than ever, because they lost that Super Bowl, and they feel like they need something. And Mahomes going to have something on it, and they got off those offensive linemen. I'm very intrigued to see all those O linemen play with Orlando Brown, Thuney Kruk. You know all the rest of the names.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, So overall, I think that's going to be a big part, right? To see how that offensive line plays, especially against Myles Garrett and that defensive end. So.
But yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about what Ashby said, I'm not going to go out there and say I think the Chiefs are going to lose, because I can't see him doing it. But he has a lot of good points to him. Like, if you want to know how to beat the Chiefs defense, watch the last Super Bowl. Brady did it, more or less without breaking a sweat. The lights were on, so obviously it was a little hot in the stadium, but I mean, like, Brady did it almost effortlessly. And the Chiefs defense, you go an entire summer only hitting your same players, right? And for me and you, we did this all the way through camp. I got tired of hitting you after a while because it was the same person. Like, the first time you get to hit somebody new, you're going to try to hit them so hard that their helmet flies off. Mm-hmm. So this defense for the Chiefs are going to go out there, like a chicken with its head cut off, more or less, and just try to hurt people. And they're going to be left vulnerable because some of them are not going to do their responsibilities. And Baker Mayfield, while he is a young quarterback, he has enough leadership and enough, takeover mentality to him that he will eventually be able to pick up, all right, this backer's not going to drop to the hook to curl range. We're going to hit the, halfback going out on the drop back.
Not forcing stuff. Yeah.
This corner is playing man press, and he is not fast enough to keep up with, Odell Beckham Jr. We're hitting him on a fade. I don't think the Chiefs' defense is ready for the Browns week one. If they played almost a tune-up game, like, I'd hate to say it, but like the Bears or like the Lions or the Bengals, maybe. But it's just, like, they're out the gate, they're playing the same team they played in the AFC divisional round, in which Chad Henne had to come in and finish the game because Patrick Mahomes had a headache.
Yeah.
Concussion protocol, sorry. But moving forward, Sunday Night Football, Bears, Rams. I'm a Bears fan, but I don't think the Bears are going to win it. And then Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens over the Raiders. That might be the hot take I have. I think the Raiders are actually going to beat Baltimore. I think Derek Carr is going to come out, play extremely good. Nathan Peterman might as well just not even dress. They don't need him. But
throws too many picks.
I mean, the Ravens have 3 running backs out. Mm-hmm. Dobbins, including Dobbins, who was their starter. And then Marcus Peters is also out. So the Ravens are missing very key people. I think that just because, the Raiders are somewhat healthy, Josh Jacobs is questionable. Incognito, their guard, is questionable. But, I mean, questionable week one just means we don't want to let you know they're playing, but they're playing. So those 2 games, I feel like they'll probably be – the Bears will get blown out. I'm sorry, Chicago. I have to be truthful.
Yeah.
And then I think the Raiders are going to win a close one against the Ravens. Moving forward, the college football AP polls just came out, and there are some pretty big things to really talk about. What do you got on that, Max?
Yeah, so first let me just tell you quickly what the AP poll mentions here, what I looked up. So looking at least the top 10, I'll share real quick. Alabama is number 1. We got Georgia at number 2. Ohio State is number 3. Oklahoma at 4. Texas A&M at 5. Clemson 6. Cincinnati at 7. Notre Dame at 8. Iowa State at 9. And then Iowa at 10. So just quickly looking at the top 10 there. First of all, we got to look at Clemson. I'm going to first mention Clemson because of that loss they had with Georgia. And we talk about rebuilding. And I say this because we look at Alabama. They lost Mac Jones, lost a lot of their players. They looked fine over Miami. They had a lot of people. Bryce Young, I think looked better than advertised. He looked like he knew what he was doing. And he also threw a good touchdown pass to Ohio State transfer, Jamison Williams, down the field. And he made a nice play too. And looking at Clemson, here's the thing. Some people think it's Georgia's defense that made a lot of plays. Sometimes I wondered if Clemson knew what they were doing totally on offense. And I say that because Clemson still, when you look at DJ Uiagalelei, we talked about him last year. When he played against Notre Dame, against your Irish, the one game he played, he made some plays. And I'm not saying that Notre Dame's defense probably is not as great as Georgia's defense, but I'm just saying that kid has got talent. And I think that if Clemson, Dabo Sweety's going to find a way to get that team better. But here's the thing. That's one of their best games out in their schedule. You look at Clemson now, the ACC, I'm sorry. It's just not that great anymore, Kruk.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say with the ACC is that Clemson's got to find something to get themselves better because with Georgia, Georgia's got something else. They're in the SEC. They possibly, I think right now, believe that they're still going to compete with Florida for the SEC East Championship. That's what I believe. I mean, you got something else you want to say?
Absolutely. I mean, you were talking about it right out the gate in terms of the AP poll section. You know, rebuilding. Clemson has to rebuild. Bama had to rebuild. That gives me a little bit of PTSD being from an area where the Chicago Cubs were because they rebuilded for about 80 some odd years. In college, you can't be that lucky. In college, you have 4 years at most to rebuild.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gone. I mean, Clemson lost their first game and they're still a top 6 team. Trevor Lawrence is not on that team anymore. Trevor Lawrence is in the NFL. I don't think Clemson has the name or the play to back it up that they are a top 6 team.
I agree.
Bama being number 1, I mean, as long as Nick Saban's at, coaching for Alabama, they might as well just get the rings ready and have the, the dates saved for a later
March
time.
the parade and get going.
Georgia goes from number 5 to number 2. I 100% believe in that. But my favorite one, UCLA went from unranked to number 16. When I think of UCLA, I think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lonzo Ball, and basically a basketball school. I'm not thinking football.
I agree.
But these guys are number 16. They're ranked higher than the Wisconsin Badgers, a traditional Big Ten. If you want a lineman, this is one of the top 3 colleges you look for. Places. UCLA is ranked higher than them. What do you got on that, Keaton?
Stunned, to say the least. Mentioning that UCLA now at 16. And the one thing I will say about the ranking so far is I'm going to talk about Notre Dame for a minute.
Okay.
Notre Dame does not belong in the top 10. That was a poor performance they had against Florida State.
Agreed.
Florida State should have won that game. Too many miscues. Notre Dame, after they scored the first touchdown, went very conservative after the whole defense started playing conservative. The offense, don't know why we kept running when passing was working, and we just almost blew the game. And Notre Dame should be where Wisconsin is right now, in the 18th all the way to the 25th spot.
So just quickly, with talking about Notre Dame, I know you talked about it really quickly. Remember last year they had Ian Book, right? Ian Book, he had a lot of stats, made a lot of plays. Now they got Wisconsin transfer Jack Cohen, right? And to me, when he was at Wisconsin, watching him play a little bit, he was all right? He made plays, the tight ends, in this way. I just want to know your thoughts about your starting QB. Do you think he's your permanent starter for the whole season?
I'm going to go with yes. His performance in the first game for Notre Dame was shocking, to say the least.
Okay.
A lot of fans doubted him before the season even began. I see Jack Cohen becoming QB1 the rest of the season for Notre Dame. And, yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right.
I mean,
Fair
it's
enough.
Jack Cohen. What else can you say?
And with that, looking at the rankings right now, Clemson at number 6 is just making me upset. 0-1 and they're still number 6. I don't think they have anybody.
I think it's name recognition, Krug. I think it's name recognition because to me it's name recognition because here's what I'll say this real quick with the college football playoff. One team I'm looking at is Cincinnati, and I say this about Cincinnati. If anyone knows, I'm not from Ohio. It's not because of this. Don't get into all that. No, because Cincinnati had a good year last year. For real though, they really did have a good year, and to me there was teams like Texas A&M, Georgia, and Oklahoma, whatever big teams. And to me, the thing about Oklahoma is, and anytime I talk about Oklahoma, it's that their defense needs to get better. We saw they almost lost the first game to Tulane, which Tulane, they're just not good. I'm just going to say straight up, they're just not good. And only winning by 5 and playing that bad at defense because they actually now got Ohio State past defensive coordinator Alex Grinch there, which to me, what he does a lot, and I've noticed it, is that he likes to do is play a lot of back coverage. And he likes to play a lot of deep coverage, a lot of players, and sometimes he doesn't bring a lot of pressure. So sometimes when you play zone defense, play it for a long time, it gets to you, right? It gets to you and you can't make the plays. And that's probably why Tulane when they threw the ball up and they made some plays, that's what happened. So I'm also going to talk about just quickly about one team, and that's Texas A&M. And I'll let you guys comment after what I say about Texas A&M. I just think the thing about Texas A&M is that first at the beginning of the year, I almost laughed at this. They thought they first could beat Alabama. Jimbo Fisher was talking smack about them at the beginning of the year and thought they could beat Alabama. And then Nick Saban was like, oh, what, in golf? And, so that already tells you the rivalry they're having between each other. But to me, I mean, it doesn't look like – the thing about Texas A&M is they're always going to be below Alabama. And I just curious what your guys' thoughts are about what they say about Texas A&M. Kruk, I mean, I can start with you.
I think Texas A&M is underrated, criminally underrated. I think they're a top 5 team, and they have them at number 5. I don't believe they should be number 5, but I think that they are a really good team. If you put them, you give them about 5 more weeks, I would honestly say that they could beat 3 of the opponents above them right now. I think they could beat Oklahoma. I think they could beat Georgia. And then it would be an honest toss-up between Alabama or not. I think Texas A&M is that good, but, when you're looking for a football school in Texas, you go to the Longhorns. For some reason, people sleep on Texas A&M, and for no reason.
You got anything else you want to say? Or?
College football national championship. Texas A&M, Alabama. Texas A&M.
Fair enough. I mean, I'll just say this one thing is that I know, Kruk, when you mentioned just really quick about Texas A&M and just how the teams in this way, well, I'm going to actually call this right now. They play Colorado next week. It's at Colorado. I'm going to pick Colorado to upset Texas A&M in this way. And I say this because here's the thing. I look at the quarterback. Last week when he played against Kent State, they played against Kent State we're talking about here. 3 interceptions he threw and 2 touchdowns. To me, you still won 41-10, but that still to me is not impressive. Throwing 3 interceptions anytime you have a team like that. So yeah, that's one of my upset picks for next week. And then Kruk, I'm just going to quickly talk about some other matchups while we have a little bit of time.
Before you leave that, just so I can get this down.
Yeah.
Keaton and I were out here making some burning hot takes, right? I'm saying that Texas A&M could beat 3 of the people above them, which consists of, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Bama. I'm saying that they could beat 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the more sane things said in the last 5 minutes. Keaton said Texas A&M, Alabama, Texas A&M winning the championship. Okay. And then you're out here saying an unranked team, unranked, is going to beat Texas A&M.
Listen, man, this
is
why
a team that could easily walk onto a field with Alabama and not be scared.
This is why we have conversations like this, man, because we ain't always going to agree with what we say. And here's what I think, because when you say they can beat Ohio State and beat Alabama in this way, I still think Alabama's got more speed to beat Texas A&M. I think Ohio State's got way more talent overall than to beat Texas A&M. And I just believe that because when I look at Texas A&M, it's just there's something missing for me. Now they can beat when I look at the other top 10 teams, like maybe an Iowa State or Texas or one of those teams. Like, you know what I mean? They can be, you know, the okay teams. It's just I don't believe they're up that top tier yet. It's just that's what I believe. So, anyways, I'm just going to quickly talk about Oregon and Ohio State, another big game, in Iowa and Iowa State. We can just do quick score predictions, what we think. To me, Oregon traveling to Ohio State, that's going to be a big game, right? It's going to be two good teams. Ohio State's second game after almost scared me with the Minnesota game. And now they get to possibly travel back home, first game in the shoe, with a lot of fans in a long time. So that's going to be a big game. I think Ohio State will win this game. I believe it will be about like a 35, maybe to a 24 kind of range. It's kind of high scoring, I believe. And then the other game, Iowa State, both teams were in the top 10. Iowa State scared me the first week. They almost lost to Northern Iowa. But any time with Iowa State, they always start slow. So that's the thing about them. But Iowa coming in, they look good against Indiana. The quarterback did well. The defense had 2 pick sixes in the game, made a lot of plays. So in this game, I'm going to pick the Iowa Hawkeyes to win. I'm going to pick them to win, and I think it's going to be a low scoring. I think it's going to be about maybe a 17 to maybe 13 kind of game. It'll be a low scoring. Defenses are going to make plays. So I guess what are your thoughts about these two games?
I'll let Keaton tackle the Iowa State-Iowa game, and then I'll let you know what I feel about Oregon and Ohio State. So
Fair enough. Go ahead.
take on the Battle of Iowa first.
Let's see here. We have Iowa at 10, Iowa State at 9. Close matchup.
Yep.
Just like you said.
Agree.
Defense game. My score prediction for that game is going to be a little higher than that.
Okay.
I'm going to say Iowa gets the upset, 24-17.
Hey, it's a fair prediction.
You never know.
What about you, Kruk?
Well, the Ohio State-Oregon game, Ohio State, you know, they're sitting pretty. They're sitting right at number 3. Oregon are, you know, sitting right at number 12. So they're both highly ranked. You know, what is that, 9 spots different? 9 spots.
Yep.
Honestly, doesn't sound like much considering how many football teams there are, but 9 spots is a decent amount. I think Ohio State, this week of practice that they're doing right now, has been hell. Like, coach is like, listen, this shouldn't even have been a game. This was our tune-up game, and you guys acted like we were playing in a bowl game. Mm-hmm. So the coach is like, we will go out there, and we will not let them score. Oregon, yeah, they're going to score, all right? They have a potent offense every year, hands down. I think it's going to be, you know, I think Ohio State's going to score 35, but I don't think they're going to let up 24 like you said. I think it's going to be 35-17, possibly 35-21. And I think Ohio State is going to run the ball for the majority of the game, and they're going to have their running game working.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing about Ohio State is we have a good 3 running back system. We have Mayan Williams, Trayvon Henderson, a great running back, freshman. Those are going to be key players, I believe, in this game. But another player that you got to watch out for Oregon is that defensive end, Kayvon Thibodeau. And we don't know, there's rumors that we don't know if he's going to play or not. We don't know what his injury status is. But all we know is everyone in the NFL, scouts, are telling him this guy is the real deal. He's the real deal, and he makes a lot of plays for this offense. For the defense, sorry. My fault. But anyways, he's going to have to be a big key for the Oregon Ducks. But with Oregon's offense, just really quickly before we move on, I just think that the offense in Anthony Brown, he's the Boston College transfer, and he's going to have to be lights out, correct? Because I mean, because for me, he's an okay quarterback. He's not really great. You know, he makes good throws here and there. I think it's how is he going to play? That's really going to be the key, because Ohio State's defensive line is one of the best in the country. Pascal Garrett and overall the whole defensive line they have is just, they always reload every year. Zach Harrison, it's just, those guys know how to play. And I think it's still going to be 24 points because for me, even as a Buckeye fan, I got to tell you this. I don't really trust still our secondary. It's because we still got 2 young corners, 2 young players playing. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but
And, yeah, absolutely.
that's my prediction.
This is going to actually be a new segment on the show. We're calling it Battle Royale. Right here, we have a whiteboard with some of the best college mascots we could find, and the rules of the game, straight up, who would win in a fight? We have a piece of paper with all of the universities on them for you if you would like, but we're going to run through it. We're starting off at the very top spot in the bracket. The Orcas versus the Purple Cows. Keaton, where are the Orcas and where are the Purple Cows from?
The Purple Cows are from Williams College, and the Fighting Orcas are from Delta State.
And so, looking at it, whole group discussion, who would win in that fight? A fighting orca or a purple cow?
I would say Fighting Orca.
Where is there a neutral site? Orcas are in water. A purple cow's on land. Are we gonna fight on a beach?
I mean, I would have to say,
That's true.
where do you say the Purple Cows were? Williams College,
Williams
right?
College, yeah.
That doesn't sound like it's next to a beach, but just for, let's say this fight's taking place just outside of Washington State,
Washington
right?
State.
Right on the coast.
Right on the coast.
So the cow could walk out there, the orca could swim up. Who's winning it?
It's in Washington. I'm
Yeah.
going with the Orcas.
I'm going with Orcas too.
I guess
I
we're
mean,
going orcas.
Just looking at, an orca, that thing that's a powerful being, Krunch. That thing can, especially obviously taking the situation.
So the next one we got narwhals versus trolls. The narwhals are the little sea whatever thing with the horn on its
Horn
head.
on top.
Basically a unicorn without legs.
Mhm.
And then trolls are just trolls. And where are they from, Keaton?
The narwhals are from the New School University, and the trolls, excuse me for one moment, can't quite find them.
The trolls are from Trinity Christian College. So we have religious trolls going against the New School narwhals.
They're religious.
Oh yeah, they're the Trinity Christian College. They're religious.
They're gonna use Jesus in this fight.
That is true.
Wow.
They are a 14 seed though. Like
Possible an upset, possibly.
That's an upset in my
that
mind.
could be a huge
Yeah.
upset. Max, what do you think?
Hey. Here's the thing. Whenever time I think of narwhals, because my sister, she always likes like unicorns and narwhals. So every time I actually got her a Christmas present for narwhals. So I kind of want to be nice to her. But now thinking of what we just said, what Keaton just said, I don't know. I might go with the 14 seed and the trolls.
I'm gonna
I
have
might
to
be
say
taking
trolls.
them.
The
Yeah.
trolls got Jesus. They know everything now.
Is that a B?
Sorry for my English. There's an R.
Spelling difficulties.
The Dirtbags versus the Raging Cajuns. The Dirtbags are the mascots for, wait for it, California State University of Long Beach. And the Raging Cajuns are for Louisiana. What are your thoughts here?
Keaton, what do you think?
First of all, I need to have something clarified. What exactly is a raging Cajun? Did we ever figure that out?
So when looking it up, it's more or less a mixture of like a cowboy versus somebody who would be on a float for Mardi Gras. Kind of somewhere in there.
So
you catching the drift?
You're mixing a Western cowboy
Absolutely.
with a bunch of beads on his neck. Is that what you're saying? With the Mardi Gras.
And a lot of alcohol, yeah.
And a lot of alcohol.
100%. That's exactly what we're talking about. Versus dirt bags, the literal thing that the dirt from a vacuum gets sucked into.
I'm going with the Raging Cajuns.
I gotta go RC as well. Raging
Yeah.
Cajuns.
Yeah, I like the Raging Cajuns.
Is that R better for you guys? Is that easier to
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Good job, Krunch.
read? The Red Dragons versus the Banana Slugs. The Red Dragons are State University of New York at Oswego, and the Banana Slugs are of University of California. Thoughts on this one? So far, we've had two major upsets: the
Yeah.
14 seed and the 12 seed.
It seems like the lower level teams are more fun teams, and they make.
Do we have
I mean-
another upset?
Just
An
looking.
upset?
Do you think a Banana Slug could beat a Red Dragon?
A banana slug is the size of your hand.
But you don't
A
remember
red
that little
dragon.
red dragon from the Mulan movie? That thing couldn't have been more than 5 inches.
We bring the red dragon to life, and you have a banana slug. You're gonna pick a banana slug over a dragon.
Okay.
Max, can you translate this for me, please?
Yeah, we're having a good time with this whole thing, but I think personally, I mean, Banana Slug, it's cool and all, right? It's this, but I'm gonna pick the Red Dragons. I
We're
think.
going Red Dragon.
I just think that they're just,
It's a great name.
Yeah.
It's just it can't beat a dragon.
So, this next one might be a little bit, unfair because we are college students, but
True.
the Corn Cobs of, Concordia College versus the Dartmouth Kegs. Who are we taking?
You start. What do you want?
Kegs.
I'm taking the Kegs.
I agree with that actually.
That's an easy.
It's hard to beat a keg.
Yeah.
Even with Keaton Ashby in prime shape, it's hard to beat a keg. The Fighting Artichokes.
Ooh.
The Fighting Artichokes of Scottsdale Community College versus the Comets, who the Comets are from Connecticut College. Who are we taking here?
I'm picking the Artichokes. I kind of like the 6-1. I kind of like the Artichokes. Just
You
a,
say
it's
the
a diff-
artichokes are from a. Continue.
No, I personally think that the Artichokes is something. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit different than the Comets. That's why I'm picking the Artichokes.
So what I hear is Dash is going Artichokes.
Did you say the artichokes are from a community college?
Both are actually from community.
They're both
Oh,
from
no,
community college.
just the Artichokes. The other one is Connecticut College. Wrong CC there.
Connecticut College.
My high school rival, they were called the Comets. I can't go
Can't
with
go
them.
against them. Yeah.
So we're going
Fair
with the
enough.
We're going basically JUCO product
Yeah.
Artichokes.
Going with the Artichokes.
I'm not going to spell that all the way out. Just going art.
Yeah.
We love our.
The Blue Blobs, the Blue Blobs versus the Firestorms. What do we got?
Firestorms. I think that's. I personally think Firestorms is.
It's a blue blob.
The Fires.
Okay, so
The
what are you trying to
Firestorms
get
are
into?
Arizona
More.
Christian, and the Blue Blob is actually the replacement mascot for Xavier University because the Cavalier was no longer welcomed on campus due to safety regulations because of its musket.
I pick Firestorms. Keaton looks like he disagrees, so please explain.
It's a blue blob. Do you remember that thing from what was that movie of?
Not to break trademark or,
We'll just
any
say
other
an
thing.
off-brand name.
Monsters versus aliens.
Yes. Do you remember the blue blob in Monsters vs. Aliens? And
Yes,
how
I do.
it can absorb somebody and basically suffocate them?
Yeah.
You're not going to pick that over a firestorm.
I mean, fire
Listen.
goes out easily. It goes out by water.
All it has to do is just sit on the fire and just roll across.
Hey, it seems like 2 against 1, so it looks
We're
like
going
that you
BB.
just going BB. I'm just
Wow.
saying that's
Max,
what I
I
believe.
expect more out of you.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I only messed up 1 pick. You
So now-
disagree with me.
So now, something that I enjoy a lot of, food. Oranges versus the Fighting Pickles.
Wow.
The Syracuse Oranges versus the Fighting Pickles of North Carolina School of the Arts.
Can I just ask, who made a name called the Fighting Pickles? That's just my.
They're a number 2 seed, Max. Let's take some respect
Yeah,
to them.
I'm just saying that might be the weirdest name I've ever heard.
Okay, so who are you picking, Dash?
Well, since it's a weird name, I'm just gonna pick the pickles so we can see what happens.
Is it a unanimous Fighting Pickles?
Give me the pickles.
I'm just wondering.
All right, we have our
whose
next
person
lineup.
would have picked pickles.
So we've got the Orcas taking on the Trolls. What do we got here? So,
we gotta come back together.
we've only got. All right, so here we go. The 14 seed taking
Yes.
on the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a 1 seed, but can Trolls swim? I don't think Trolls can swim.
I'm gonna pick the Orcas here.
Orcas.
We're
I
going
think the
Orcas?
All the way.
Yeah.
Orcas.
All right, next one we got. We got the Raging Cajuns at a 12 seed taking on the 7 seed Red Dragons. Who are we thinking?
What do you think of first?
So we have a drunk Western cowboy that loves Mardi Gras
Absolutely.
with a giant red dragon going at it with each other.
Well, Giant was not,
Okay,
Wasn't
a
part of the
red
description.
dragon. A red dragon. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They blow out fire from
Wow.
their mouth.
Wait, do they
Okay.
blow off fire and Feather or what?
I don't know why I
That
said
was-
Pfizer. I think I'm thinking of Pfizer for some
Oh, okay.
reason.
Okay,
You know,
alright.
shot.
Oh, you just got your second vaccine.
Yes, sir, I did.
Congrats.
Hey,
you.
respect. Give it up for Keaton. Nice job. Nice job.
Making the world better one shot at a
Yeah,
time.
one shot at a time.
I'm just gonna go with the
ahead.
Raging Cajun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna pick the Raging Cajuns because
I gotta go Cajuns.
Because I like.
Because it looks like RC Cola, you know? RC.
Okay, next one, please.
We got the kegs versus the artichokes. So one of them your mother wants you to eat at the dinner table. The other one your mother asks you not to finish off at a dinner table.
Definitely the second option.
Let's pick the one that. Yeah. Let's pick the
We're
kegs.
going kegs?
Yeah.
Keggy the keg.
Keggy the keg.
Let's go with the kegs.
All right. The final one of the Elite Eight.
Oh boy.
The Blue Blobs or the Fighting Pickles.
Okay. Anytime I hear the pickles name, it makes me laugh.
I
Okay,
mean-
here's the thing. Listen.
There's
I know
strong cases for both.
For
There are strong
curiosity,
cases.
since I had a good disagreement with the Blue Blob people over here, I'm going with the pickles because hey, I'm just intrigued to have fun with the pickles because hey, it's just a fun name.
The pickles are a salty snack that's good to eat.
I mean, technically the Blue
good
Blob
on
will
burgers. I mean, they're good on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But a Blue Blob, there's real no true definition for it. Like it's out there.
All right, so
That's a
I picked my
toss-up.
team. So I mean,
Keaton, what's your input?
Them. Because
Wow.
the pickles, you think a pickle?
okay.
What is a pickle gonna do to a Blue Blob?
Okay, you understand my point of view.
The
I'm not
pickles
picking.
will
I'm not
be
picking.
shot
I'm not.
into the Blue
I'm not
Blob.
picking them because the Blue Blob would probably beat up a pickle. I'm just picking them
Well, I mean-
because
I
the
mean,
pickles
earlier-
are a fun name, and
Earlier
whoever
right here,
created
we
that
said
as a
it was
college.
a giant red dragon. What if it's a giant fighting pickle?
Hey,
Like, we don't know how much Blue
That's
Blob
true.
there is.
That's
it
true.
could be a giant
You-
pickle.
I
Look,
see what you're on. to
The
something.
only way I would change my opinion of the Blue Blobs is if it were Rick from Rick and Morty as the pickle.
Trademark
That is
patent
it.
pending.
I'm
Alright.
sticking with the Blue Blobs.
We,
All right, Krug,
I
you're the
think we're
decider.
going Blue Blobs.
Wow.
You gotta go for it. He made
All
some
right.
very valid points. So, we're in the final four.
All right, here we go.
You know, it may not be as popular as the basketball or the hockey
Yes.
Frozen Four, but these guys have some potential.
This is
Yeah.
legit.
This is-
We have the Fighting Orcas of Delta State University going against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Fellas, arguments.
What do we have here? We have Raging Cajuns at 12,
So-
the Orcas at 1.
I mean, I.
I mean, if
The
I wasn't
Orcas-
wrong, last time you said Orcas all the way. I mean, I remember
I did
hearing
say that. I did
You
say
did
that.
say that.
But after thinking and considering this beautiful whiteboard in the bracket, I'm gonna hold off my answer for 1 minute. Max,
Well,
please go ahead.
Here's the thing. I like the Raging Cajuns. I think Crook. They made a run. They made a run this bracket. But I think it ends here. It ends. The Orcas get into the championship game here matchup. So I'm picking the Orcas.
I mean, looking at it just from like a safety perspective, like these guys are drunk. They shouldn't be going in the water.
Exactly. Afraid the
Like,
Orcas just gonna.
You know, they may not. They
No.
may not even swim.
No.
Like the orca, like they live in the water. I
Alright.
gotta go orcas.
All right. Well.
Keaton,
Orcas.
we gotta go orcas. And then coming out of the bottom half of the bracket, Keggy the Keg from Dartmouth, or the Blue Blob from Xavier University.
Wow. I still can't believe the Blue Blob has advanced to this far in the bracket. But I mean, it's
Listen,
whatever.
the Fighting Pickles
This-
had their chance.
The Fighting Pickles had their chance. The Firestorms
Stop being
had,
salty.
The
like a pig.
Firestorms had their chance. So hey, I'm just not. Blue Blobs are not my thing right now. So give me the keg.
Dash is not liking the Blue Blobs.
No,
Noted.
no, not liking the Blue Blob.
I need to see an Orcas versus Blue Blob matchup.
I gotta look at the keg here, man. Like,
What's a
Yes,
keg
sir,
gonna do
Krug.
to the Blob?
164 beers? That's a lot even for a fully grown man. Andre the Giant, the man who has the most
Yeah.
beers consumed in one seating, couldn't even finish off a keg.
I'm disappointed.
All right,
Krug,
have
you're
you ever
the
seen The
decider.
Princess Bride? The dude's huge. All right,
Yes.
he's
He's
massive.
a big boy.
He's
Yeah,
like
yes,
bigger
he
than
is.
like the Big Show. All right,
Fair enough. All right.
I gotta go keg.
Wow.
Oh my god.
It was a nice try, Keaton.
And the moment
That was a
we've
nice
all
try.
been waiting for, we're actually going to bring in two other guest analysts for this point.
Oh.
If you wouldn't mind joining, Hacksaw Hackett and then Dirty Hippie Garrett Tipton. Would you please join us on stage?
All right, here we
please?
go. Coming on in.
So, for those who don't know, this is Garrett, the Dirty Hippie Tipton. And then this is from the last 2 seasons, Tim Hacksaw Hackett. Guys, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Still stuck up on the pickles, but it's okay.
Hacksaw, how you doing?
I'm doing well. We've seen some major upsets in this bracket, haven't we?
I mean, we are looking right now at a 9 seed taking on a 1 seed.
After all this, we have a 1 seed in the final.
It's
Yeah.
outrageous,
a lot
but
of
I don't
baked
think
in.
the Purple Cows had a chance in the first.
I have
Not
to
a
agree with
shot.
you there.
No. Yeah.
So
Nor the trolls. What is it supposed to be like a Smurf or something up against an orca?
I believe it's like those weird little naked dolls with like the huge stand-up hair. I believe those were the trolls. But looking at these, we have the kegs versus the orcas. Give me your discussions. What do we got here?
Start with the 2 guest analysts. What do you guys think?
Tim, what
We
are we
made it
looking
this far,
at?
so what you guys
To
believe?
me, the kegs are an inanimate object, aren't they? But
Well, I
they've
mean,
been
yes.
animated for
Well,
the
it's-
purpose
it's-
of this battle
it's a
royale,
keggy.
correct?
It's keggy, not just a keg.
So
It's
it's one.
keg.
It's one singular Kenny the Keg versus one singular Killer Orca, right?
Fighting orca.
Fight,
Yes.
fire,
Not killing.
yes, but all right. So Killer Orca is a passé term anyway. But I mean, I was sleeping on Kenny the Keg this whole tournament. I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised he's made it this far.
Yeah.
So I think, despite the fact that I'm surprised that we're gonna have a 1 seed possibly win this whole thing, I would be leaning towards Orca in this matchup.
Okay, duly noted.
You know, so it's quite interesting because my question is how much alcohol do you think an orca can take?
Well, I mean, they do live in water, so like they're used to having fluids
Just recycle it.
in them and like
But
brew
it's
it.
not
specifically
water.
alcohol.
It's alcohol.
It's
I mean, it depends what they fill it with.
Filled up
They could
area
fill
of
it with
alcohol.
Iowa water,
Yeah.
also known as Busch Light. They could fill it with like, you know, something from the Budweiser Anaheim company.
Mhm.
Or they could even go like extreme and fill it with like a Michelob Ultra or like a Victoria beer. Even like a Corona.
Would orcas like Coronas?
I feel like out of my.
I don't think anybody likes Corona, especially after 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, I think that brand. I think that
They
brand.
might
Started,
just have
I
to
think that
rename
brand
it.
started to go down when they had old COVID going on.
But I
agree
need
with you there.
your opinion.
All
Give
right,
it
let's
to
go,
me
Tipton.
straight.
Come on, Tipton.
Who is Dirty
Sadly,
Hippie voting
got?
for?
Sadly, I think I'm gonna have to go with the orcas.
All right,
All right.
2 for the Orcas.
Max?
My next. Well, I mean, I'm glad. Let's see, the kegs. I wasn't expecting. You know, I mean, I'm happy that they beat the Blobs. You know me. This whole bracket, I've been with the whole Blobs, the whole situation. You boys were on it, but listen. I mean, I thought it'd be funny just to see the Fighting Pickles here at this point. I thought it was really curious. I'm just still wondering who made up that name, and I'm still gonna say it. But at this point in time, I mean, we're talking about a fighting big orca. Talking about a big thing, and he's made it this far. He's beating up the trolls, beating up the Purple Cows.
Yeah, but like
Yeah, I mean,
a keg.
I'm gonna have to go with Orcas.
That is a fair point. Ashby.
I feel bad for Kenny the Keg.
Yeah,
He really made a historic run, a
he did.
Cinderella run.
He did make a good run.
You know, he needs at least 1 vote, but I'm gonna have to go with the Fighting
Yeah.
Orcas.
Well, the 1 vote will come from me.
Oh.
As a guy who's been
Wow.
to a couple of keg parties, there's been few occasions where we've actually tapped the keg. Kegs have always beaten me, and because of that, I have to give my vote to Keggy the Keg.
Unfortunately, just.
But it's a 4-1 vote.
Yep.
Orcas are taking it,
Let's
baby.
give it up for the Orcas, everybody! Yeah.
The Orcas,
The Orcas.
of Delta State University have won the
Congratulations.
NAIA NCAA mascot tournament. For all of you watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below who you would have had on the board and who you would have had winning it all. If you're watching or listening to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever else you find your podcast, definitely leave a comment or go to YouTube, Krunch Time, and definitely make sure you leave a comment. Let us know who you would have wanted to win or who you would have liked to have seen on the board. Until next time, this is Jacob Krugenberg. We got Mad Max and we got Keaton Ashby. Stay classy.